Hello, and welcome to Civic Engagement with Raymond Tyler. My name is Raymond Tyler, and this is Civic Engagement on AtlanticCityFocus.com. We thank you for tuning in today. As always, we bring you up close and personal with people from the community who are engaged with civics in some way, whether they're involved with organizations to help people vote freely and safely, whether they are people from specific political organizations, or whether they're the candidates themselves or people who are running for office. We bring that all to you with civic engagement. We take no sides. We just ask the questions and give the people who are our guests an opportunity to answer fully. Today, I'd like to welcome to civic engagement Maureen Leidy. She is the president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum. So, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
No problem. Anytime.
Okay, so first question I want to ask you is what is the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum?
So the forum is really our main mission is to inform, educate, train, and promote women in politics, whether they want to run for office or whether they just want to talk about, what's going on in the news. But we branched out a little bit and we try to do things in and for the community as well.
Okay. How long has the organization been around?
Gosh, it's been around, I think, since now this might not be true because I didn't start the organization. I would say around 2015 would be
Okay.
my guess. I became president in late 2019.
Okay. Which leads me to my next question. As president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum, what is your job?
Well, it's kind of like herding cats. But no, my job is actually to listen, to come up with ideas. And I believe we are the Democratic organization, although we welcome left-leaning independent women. But I believe in democracy. So I am not one to just go ahead and make decisions. Anything that we want to do in the community or any candidate that we would like to support, we usually bring it first to the executive committee. There's about 6 of us on the committee, then to the whole forum to vote. We meet once a month. And, right now we had 3 goals for this year. The first is to increase voter engagement. The second is to increase our membership. And the third is to encourage, and get more women to run for office this cycle. And we're happy that there are quite a few women in the forum that are, well, I shouldn't say that yet because the Democratic convention is Sunday, but I know there are a couple of women throwing their hats in.
Okay. Well, we'd love to have you back, along with some of the women who are going to announce their run.
That's
So
great.
please keep that in mind. If you're just tuning in, you are watching Atlantic City Focus, and particularly you are watching Civic Engagement with Raymond Tyler. My guest is Maureen Leidy, president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum. Let's take the first thing that you mentioned. You said you wanted to increase voter engagement.
Yes. So this has been bugging me for the last few election cycles. Now, when, come September, you're bombarded with, literature and phone calls and text messages, vote for me, door knockers, whatever. But then after the election, do you hear from anyone? No. And I think that we need to keep our voters engaged year round, whether there's an election or not. I would like to find out, what we are trying to do now is we've been sending out postcards with a survey to women voters, asking whether they voted in the last cycle and what issues would convince them to vote in this cycle, which of course we all know our democracy is at stake. But So, and once we get responses, I want to keep those voters engaged. I'm not saying I want them to they don't have to join our organization. They don't even have to commit to volunteering, nothing like that. Just be engaged, just so in the primary, and especially in November, they feel like they know the issues and they want to get out and vote.
Great. Um, are you able to tell us some of the issues that the women you've contacted have brought up as far as why they're voting?
Well, mostly it's the women's health issue. I think that was sadly not emphasized in the last election cycle. Everyone says it's the economy, but women's reproductive rights and health are an economic issue. There's no two ways about it, that women's right to autonomy over their bodies, does have a lot to do with the economy. So that's our number one issue. Number two, I think the fear of Donald Trump winning again, saving our democracy. A lot of our response, LGBTQ rights, uh, worries about the book banning that's happening in some of our school districts. And as a sidetrack, we're really encouraging women to run for school boards because we think that's really important. What people fail to realize is, they'll get out, they'll vote for president, right? But then in off years, they don't think about their school boards or their Senate assembly or their state Senate. And they're the most important officials because they make the laws for our states. And if you look around the country, you see what's happening like in Alabama and Texas. They're the state legislatures that are making those laws. So I think it's important that everybody realize that we have to be involved no matter what election cycle it is. We have to get to know the issues and get to know the candidates.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching Civic Engagement with Raymond Tyler and my special guest today, Maureen Leidy from the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum. Uh, Talk to me about your endeavor to get more women to run for office.
So again, first off, we start with our membership. Like we have
Okay.
membership is growing. We have a little, probably about 60 members now,
Okay.
and many of those have held office or previously ran for office. For instance, Karen Fitzpatrick, she was our commissioner. She is a member of the forum. We've had many members. I ran for commissioner when it was still called freeholder back in 2018 before the redistricting. I didn't win, but I put myself out there. So, we encourage that, especially because, we're so involved with the issues. And some women or men really are afraid to put themselves out there, right? So, and we have so many members that have been involved in campaigns that we can help them with the process, like, getting a treasurer. What does a treasurer have to do? Things like that, getting, a campaign manager and fundraising. So, once people know that we're there to help, and each year we hold a big gala in August. One of our members is kind enough to open her house to us, and we raise a lot of money at that gala, and that 100% of those funds go directly to our women candidates. So, we not only help them financially, but we volunteer for them. So I think it's, when they know they have the backing of a group and that we really believe in these candidates, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, I think I'm going to do it.
Okay. All right. Oh, quick question. Are
Mhm.
men allowed to join the South Jersey
Of
Democratic
course,
Women's
of
Forum?
course. Men are always welcome, always welcome. It was funny because last year, during the last cycle, we always have the candidates come and speak, men and women. So, but usually we focus on the women first. And then last year, I guess it was last October, we had, Eric Scheffler, who was running for sheriff, Hector, who was running for commissioner. Oh, there was somebody else. Oh, Alphonse. Yes, he was running for assembly. And we had them come and speak. And one of them made a joke about, oh, I wish I could join. I said, you're always welcome to join. We call it the Women's Forum, but again, we accept men, but our vision is to promote women.
Okay.
But can I just add also, sometimes there's a male candidate that is the better candidate. I mean, we don't wear blinders and just vote for women just because they're women. I mean, we really do believe in the issues. And usually, the women from the forum that run, we all feel the same way. So it's very easy to support them.
Great. If you're just tuning in, this is Civic Engagement with Raymond Tyler. We're talking to Maureen Leidy, president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum, about the upcoming election and what it is that they do. Right about now, a lot of focus nationally is going to be ever increasing on the presidential election. But we do have an election coming up locally, and some of the candidates for is it Senate?
Congress and
Congress.
Senate, the House and the Senate. Yes.
Okay, have already declared. So, are you able to announce any endorsements, or do you have to wait till the to the Democratic
After the primary, we can't
after the
endorse until
primaries?
after the primary. But I just want to tell you, we just had this, and this is like the third time we've done it. One time we did during COVID, it wasn't so good, but we call it speed rating with the candidates. And I don't know if you know how speed dating works, where you go, there's a table and you go from table to table. So
Right.
what we did, we invited the three the CD2 candidates, Tim Alexander, Carolyn Rush, and Joe Salerno. They're running for Congressional District 2. And we had about 50 attendees. And the way it worked was, Tim would be at one table, Carolyn at another, Joe at a third. And they would each have 15 minutes to spend with the voters at that table. So, the voters could ask them any questions they wanted. And it's a little different than just a regular candidates forum, because the way forums usually work is, the moderator asks a question and then each candidate gets to answer that question, right? And so this is
Right.
different. This is very different. The candidates don't know what the other candidates are saying, and it gives voters a chance really to ask the questions that matter to them. So it was extremely successful.
Great, great. Once again, you're watching Civic Engagement, and we're talking to the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum president, Maureen Leidy. Um, for women who have not been engaged, let's say there's a woman sitting home watching this, and they feel like there's really no reason for me to be engaged in this upcoming election. What would you say to them?
I would say your rights are at stake. I mean, this is the first time in history, with the Dobbs decision, that people have actually lost a civil right. That we had that right, women did, and the Supreme Court took that away from us, the right to our autonomy. And more important, I mean, I really firmly believe that this election is about democracy. It's about saving our country. Our country has to heal, there's no doubt about it, but we have to save it. I mean, so much has to be done. I'm just so over the meanness that that turn that the country has taken, and we have to get back to some semblance of civility and start focusing on issues that are important to us. And when I say us, I mean the majority of Americans, middle, lower class Americans. they're the ones that need the help the most. Forget the, tax credits for the billionaires. We have to get back to, uh, alluding to President Biden's State of the Union address. Uh, I think people don't realize how much the President Biden has accomplished, with the infrastructure and the Medicare, the Medicaid, Medicare drug prices, which next year, all Medicare drugs will be capped at 165. I think it's 165. Don't quote me on that. Dollars a month. So, and any senior will not have to pay more than that. And I know, me personally, one of my prescriptions is like $200 for a 30-day supply. So it's crazy. But anyway, so like I said, it's not that, women have to be all gung ho and volunteer, although we would love that, but they have to know that it's important to them personally. You have to take the election personally, that it's going to affect you, whether it's for your children, whether it's for your education, whether it's for job equality, it affects you.
There you go. Um, Real important question. Where do people go, or how can people join the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum and get some more information?
Okay, so we do have a website. And just let me say, I'm not real web savvy, so it's not, it's in the works, but it's sjdwf.com. And we meet on the fourth Monday of each month. We meet at the Shore Diner in Egg Harbor Township because we are Atlantic Cape. So we figure it's like a good meeting point for Cape May County and Atlantic County, because Atlantic County is pretty big too. So the Shore Diner on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township is where we meet. The meeting officially starts at 7, but we usually get there early, like to sit, to eat, and just to chit chat before, just to have some camaraderie before the actual meeting starts. But yeah, they can go to our website, you can join, or you can come and come to a meeting and see, if you like it. And then you can join after. It's not like we stand there at the door and say, oh, you're not a member, you can't join. You know what I mean? We are open. We are open to all women,
And men.
Democratic women, and independent women.
Okay. Well, what would be your message to independent women for this upcoming election?
So again,
Undecided.
yes, I think the message is pretty much the same. I mean, women's health, that to me, that personally, that I'm talking personally, that is my number one issue. Women's reproductive health and just women's health care in general. Planned Parenthoods have been closing all over, and a lot of women depended on Planned Parenthood, not for abortion, but for their mammograms and just for checkups and things like that. But so I think for independents, especially those that are just, I don't want to say like level-headed, but just want our country to do better, not live in the past, not always denigrating the country, but we want to do better. And I think it's so important, this election. And I really think that Democrats have a good message to get us there, whether, again, it's prescription drug cost or student loans, or I know immigration is a big issue now. And, that immigration bill was really, really a good bill. And yet, the Republicans wouldn't pass it. So I think independence, I know a lot of people are wondering where like Nikki Haley's voters are going to go. And I sure hope that they do take a look at Joe Biden's platform and down ballot too here in New Jersey, what the Democrats stand for here, because we've always been a blue state. Down here in South Jersey, it's getting a little bit redder, but I think that we can turn that around. I think that our candidates have a lot to offer, from the president on down. I know we have two Senate candidates vying for the Democratic, in the Democratic primary. That would be Tammy Murphy, the governor's wife, and Andy Kim, who is a congressman from South Jersey, not as far south as we are, but he's, I think, from Burlington County, and he's running for Senate. And they both have really good plans. They both came to talk to the Atlantic County committee a little bit ago, and they both have really good plans. So, I mean, it's kind of like a win-win situation, as long as you're, going with the Democratic plan, I think is again, personally, the way I feel. And that I think we have a lot to offer independent women too, because, the majority of people now are registering independent or unaffiliated. uh, I've always been a lifelong Democrat. I don't think that I will ever change because I believe in the foundation of the Democratic Party. But I understand why people register independent. And again, we open our doors to independent women as well.
Okay, you're just tuning in. This is Civic Engagement on AtlanticCityFocus.com. We're here with Maureen Leidy, who is the president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum. You mentioned reproductive rights and health, and I think a lot of people, I want to choose my words carefully because I don't like to put words into people's mouths. I think a lot of people though don't realize that reproductive health does include, as you said, mammograms and things that even though I'm a man, I would want my mother, my aunt, my niece to have access to. So that's one thing that may be considered in the upcoming election. Can you talk to me a little bit about the importance of voting on the book banning issue?
Oh, I am. This is, and a lot of our members, and I unfortunately have not attended, but a lot of our members have been going to different school board meetings because this book banning is, to me, is just horrendous. I mean, you can't ban history. History is what it is, and we should be teaching our children and grandchildren about our history. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly of our history. It is history, and they should learn about that. That's firstly. But if there's a book that I don't want my child, and in this case it would be my grandchild because my children are grown, but if there was a book that I didn't want them to read, then I would say, no, don't read it. But I would not impose my opinion on an entire body of students. That's not fair. I think for how many years now, the education system has done okay with, reading requirements. So why is it now that we want to change that? Why do we want to take books off the shelf that maybe are about gay people or civil rights? I don't understand it, and that's why I would, anyone that is considering running for the Board of Education, to stop this, please get involved. It is just so important. And that's where the book banning starts, at the local boards of education.
Okay. And so is the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum really taking steps to make sure that the candidates are addressing this question?
Yes, and this is what we do, and we will do this after the primary. But before we, offer any official endorsement or monetary contribution, we always have a questionnaire that we ask each candidate, to fill out. And this year, we'll take issues that are really, upfront and important, like the book ban. How do you feel about book banning? How do you feel about women's choice? So we give them about 4 or 5 questions, and then, that's how we base our endorsements.
Okay. You're just tuning in. We're talking to Maureen Leidy. She's the president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum, and she's been kind enough to spend some time with us here on Civic Engagement, telling us about what it is that they do, who they may be endorsing, but we'll have a clearer picture of that after the upcoming primary. Um, Another question I wanted to ask you is, does the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum have a position on immigration?
I don't think we actually have, like, when you say position, like, we don't have a platform, so to speak.
Okay.
Uh, but that might be one of the questions that we asked our candidates this year. Again, we'll meet, we'll discuss, and we'll, figure out what questions, that we want to ask our candidates. Now, I personally have my own opinions, and I firmly believe, my grandparents immigrated from Lithuania, to escape the Russian Revolution. And so we need immigrants. We need immigrants. My thing has always been, they always say, oh, Democrats want open borders. And that's not true. And it's not fair to say that. I think we need regulation. What I personally believe is we need more judges. We need more immigration judges. We need more safe crossings, safe border crossings. We have to increase the number of the border agents. But we have to treat immigrants, they're people. They're people. And my argument when someone says, oh, keep them out, if someone is willing to walk 3,000 miles with their child for a better life, man, they deserve it. They deserve a better life. That's just the way I feel. And they're a big contribution to our society as a whole.
Again, she is Maureen Leidy from the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum, and she is actually the president. And we thank her for taking time out of her busy schedule to be with us. As we wrap up, I just want to talk a little bit about voter registration and some of the issues that have been brought up around whether the vote is safe, and uh, do you or the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum have anything to say with regard to voter registration, uh, voters, the safety of the vote being counted, and so on?
Well, here in New Jersey, I'm really not that concerned about it. Hopefully, that's not an issue. Uh, at every polling place, each party is entitled to, I think, two challengers. So, Democrat and Republican go in there and make sure that things are running as they should be. Make sure, that no one is denied the right to vote. And I always tell people, if you go in and they tell you, oh, you're supposed to vote by mail or you're not on the list, you must demand, oh, what's it called? No,
A
provisional
provisional
ballot.
ballot.
A
Yep.
provisional ballot. Do not leave that voting place without voting. You can vote by provisional ballot, if they try to deny you. On our website, we always have the voter registration applications. We always list different, where you can find out where your polling place is, the vote by mail applications, the dates for early voting. And one thing I will say about the early voting, there are certain places that you go to vote for in early voting, right? It doesn't have to be it's not your regular polling place. Like, you can
Okay.
go anywhere in the county. Like, I live in Egg Harbor Township, but I could go to Atlantic City to vote early. Early voting does not restrict you to your town. It's, and I personally, I'm old fashioned. I love to go, into that booth and, make my choices. But I think the wave of the future is voting by mail.
Okay. All right. So is it safe to say that the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum is in favor of voting by mail?
We're in favor of voting. I don't care how you vote, just vote.
Okay. So how do you feel about the prospect of weekend voting perhaps, and maybe down the road, same day voting.
Oh, I would love same day voting. I think we're a ways away from that, but weekend voting, yes. And some states have like same day registration. Uh, I just like, at least in New Jersey, I don't know about other states, but when you get your license, you also register to vote, and I really like that. Especially for our young people. We really need to get our young people engaged.
So how does the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum engage younger voters?
Well, we're trying, but it's really hard because we're Democratic. You can't, as a partisan, go into like the schools. You can't go in, and say, here, vote this way, vote that way. We can, like the League of Women Voters does a great job with that. They go into the high schools, they incentivize. We just had uh, just to try to let young people know that we're around. We had this clothing drive, professional clothing drive for Atlantic Cape Community College. They have it's so cute. They have this room, and it's for students that really don't have the money to go out and buy clothes to go on job interviews. So, we must have had 3 carloads full of, women's suits, men's suits, blazers, and donated all that. But just to let the students know we're here, we're engaged. We need you to get engaged as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is Civic Engagement, part of AtlanticCityFocus.com. She is the president of the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum, Maureen Leidy. Uh, that's our time. That's all the questions that I have for today. Is there anything you want to say before I let you go? Anything I didn't ask that I should have asked you?
Well, I just would like to mention that I told you we do some community outreach. The one big thing we do every year, the migrant workers that come here, especially the women, we always collect like fanny packs and toiletries for the women who are working in the fields all day, that personal products, sanitary products. That is really our big push. We do that every year, and it's always a success. But we're always, we do for Atlantic City Rescue Mission. We do a lot of donation for them, the food banks. So it's not just about, we want to serve our community.
That's a beautiful thing. All right. She is Maureen Leidy from the South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum. One more time, can you let people know the website so they can get more
Yes,
information and
it
become
is.
members if they like?
Yes, it's sjdwf.com. And we also have an email, which is sjdwf.atlanticcape@gmail.com.
Great,
I know that's a mouthful, but yes.
great. We'll try and include a link in the um in the space once we get this
Oh,
video
that would be
posted.
wonderful. And again, you have any questions, just reach out.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to ask you to come back sometime after the primary and talk about the candidates, the list of candidates, one by one. And we'll ask you to evaluate and tell us the truth, or tell us your views on both, both candidates on both sides, both Republican and Democrat. But I do
Wonderful.
thank you. I thank you for coming by.
Oh, thank you.
One more time, she is my special guest, South Jersey Democratic Women's Forum President, Maureen Leidy. My name is Raymond Tyler, and I'd like to thank you for watching. I just need to say that on behalf of all of the great people at Atlantic City Focus, on behalf of Norris Height, Christian Matthias, and our publisher, Mark Tyler, I'd like to thank you very much for watching and listening. This has been Civic Engagement with Raymond Tyler. I'm Raymond Tyler, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.